Squadly. So here we are. We're going through Ricky Gervais' best arguments against religion. Look, these, I'm not going to sit here in front. Why would I lie to you? Why would I lie to you? You who are choosing to watch this video and to give me your attention, which I value. Why would I lie, right? This has been striking me with underwhelming force so far. I know Ricky Gervais is principally or primarily a comedian. But, you know, look, I don't think that, I think his arguments are, you know, they are, some of them are typical. They're the arguments that were kind of passed around in the 90s. During the formation of the four horsemen of the atheist apocalypse, Sam Harris, Daniel Dennett, Christopher Hitchens, and Richard Dawkins. I think Lawrence Krauss should have been in there. But we're going to continue. We are halfway through, so I apologize for being a little, you know, I'm bloviating just a little bit, pausing it may be a little bit too much. But we're going to continue and see the rest of what Ricky Gervais has to say. Guys, please do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe. If you're not too annoyed with my interruptions here, we're going to let Ricky Gervais cook a little bit.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. When someone puts forward a jar of God, we test it for its godliness. And if we find there's anything godly in it, we'll write it down.
He said, when someone brings me a jar of God, I'll test it. I think that gives us some insight into what Gervais is expecting in terms of evidence, or what he thinks qualifies as evidence. He wants William Shakespeare to be an object within Romeo and Juliet. You know, Ricky Gervais might be the type of person to read Romeo and Juliet, be like, where is Shakespeare? I can't find him. Can someone, where is he? Does he show up in the scene?
If you throw a load of coins on the floor, no one arrangement is more amazing than another. And it's sort of like they work backwards. Because this is what happened, this is what we think is perfection. So we try and we can't get around the fact that it's crazy. We've got two eyes. That's exactly where I put them. You know, these are brilliant. This is exactly. If I was making a person, I'd make it just like me.
He is funny.
And it's hard not to think there was a will to it, but there wasn't.
You know the Mark Twain quote about, it's so great that I have ears here to hold up these things. We have glasses, and these ears are just perfect for that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Another Mark.
You know what? I think that they're making an interesting point, because there are some apologists. Like, what's the guy's name? I think it was Ken Ham. Lord have mercy. Ken Ham did a debate with Bill Nye, and he was talking about, like, if you look at a banana, right, and the banana has these little, you know, these folds around it, you know, to where it just perfectly goes into the human hand. So the banana was created for the human hand. And I was, so, you know, I respect this point. I respect him on, you know, this point that, you know, we do kind of this backwards history of, you know, we see things because we have eyes. You know, I totally agree that the universe as we perceive it is really a reflection of our own limitations. I completely agree.
Well, what's particularly good about that, it's a double whammy.
Yeah.
Because he's being sarcastic about evolution. And
Right.
But in a strange way, people should take the analogy of the glasses, because we know those glasses were made for ears. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's strange. We know that we did that, and no one would ever go, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
I just found these weird glasses on the floor and they fit my ears. And that's what people can't get around, because they want to do that with everything. They want to do that with, you know,
Yeah.
But wasn't it great when he made bees like pollen? You know, that was a masterstroke. I'd have just had flowers and bees. He went, no, I'm going to make them need each other. Brilliant.
You know, I think that more atheists should be comedic. That's one of the things I like about Ricky. It's like, you know, I think he holds these things lightly. He's almost I don't know. I don't want to say he's the equivalent of a Hume, because I think that Hume's arguments and positions were a lot more devastating than I'm finding Ricky's. But I like that in all of this, he's willing to laugh and just think, oh, you know, all this is quite silly.
You are a pathological atheist, and therefore the thought of death is very final for you. For me, it's the start of something new and glorious. For you, that's it.
For me, it's the end of something glorious, so I have to pack it all in. But, you know, I'm not depressed about it. I don't want to die any more than anyone else. And I think there's this strange myth that atheists have nothing to live for. It's the opposite. We have nothing to die for.
You have more to live for.
We
because...
have everything to live for.
Yes.
I think it's precious. I think it's beautiful. I think the world is amazing. I love...
Atheists have nothing to die for. You know, some people might consider that beautiful, and some people might find that disturbing. I know a lot of atheists who have a lot to die for, that they would die for their wives, they would die for their children, they would sacrifice their lives for certain things. I wonder if it would be less likely for someone who doesn't believe in an afterlife to sacrifice their lives for children or the community. I'm not trying to make any slight against atheists. Once again, I have atheists in my community who are personal friends. I love engaging with them, and the atheists that I know at least are brilliant. But I wonder if we checked, you know, and guys, look, maybe the Oracle knows, you know. You'll have to forgive the neutrality bias of ChatGPT. So hopefully it gives us accurate info and doesn't just say, oh, this is triggering. Let me see. Does being an atheist or not believing in the afterlife lower one's tendency to die for someone? For instance, to die for your wife or to die for your child, sacrifice your life for others. Does that tendency decrease as the belief in the afterlife decreases?
It's an interesting question, and it's one of those topics where human behavior can be quite nuanced. In general, there isn't a straightforward rule that says not believing in an afterlife automatically makes someone less willing to sacrifice themselves for others. In fact, people who don't believe in an afterlife can still hold very strong moral or ethical convictions that life is precious and that protecting loved ones is an ultimate value. For them, the meaning of this life might be even more intense because they see this life as the only one they have. On the other hand, some people who do believe in an afterlife might feel that sacrificing themselves is a noble act that...
See, once again, yeah, chat is very unhelpful. It just wants to say, oh, everyone's rainbows and unicorns and everything's lovely. Don't worry. Don't worry. That's chat. But yeah, you know, I think I would disagree that atheists have nothing to die for. Because I know a lot of atheists who would be willing to give their lives for things, just like religious people would, even though they don't believe in the afterlife. And maybe, just maybe, in certain instances, that's more... Perhaps that's more noble in certain instances to say, hey, look, even though this is the only life I've got, I'm going to lay it down for the sake of my child or my, you know.
People, animals, art, every hobby. I can't believe my luck that I'm alive for these 70 or 80 years. Might be less. Wait, you know, I'm not long for this world. My nan used to say that. She lived till 83. I think it was 40 years we were going, I'm not long for this world.
What are you said the things you like. What are the things that really annoy you?
Only two things really, really make my blood boil, I suppose. I suppose in general, as I get older, injustice. Injustice quietly makes my blood boil. Either personal, social, political, you know, personal. I suppose the two main categories are religious intolerance, this arrogance that you think, you know, arguing over whose God is right, sort of gets me down a little bit, you know. And I've got no problem with spirituality. I really haven't. You know, that's another myth. And I always try and make the difference clear between spirituality and religion. One is a very personal feeling, a journey, a hope, or whatever, a need, you know, a joy. And the other is an organised body that uses that for power and corruption in many cases. In many cases. And you know, I don't have either, but I suppose I think that when it affects me, that's when I have a say in it. And religion affects me. Religion's very real.
So we don't need God to be good.
We don't need God to be good, and even if we did, we haven't got him.
We don't need God to be good. I feel like Nietzsche would disagree. What does that matter? He said, insofar as we believe in good and evil, or in moral law, we pass sentence on existence. Nietzsche's critique would have been, when you say that there is good, are you saying that there is some law, there is some set of rules to the universe? And if so, who set those rules? Right? Good is a comparative term that requires, to me, the superlative that is God. Right? So God is the superlative that makes comparative terms like good and evil make any sense. But all right.
Quite right.
So there's
what
no
matters
point.
is what's true.
Yeah. I didn't choose to live, but I love it.
Yeah, I would love to investigate Ricky Gervais's, what he means by spirituality. If any of you are familiar with Ricky Gervais and his personal philosophy, I'd love to have you unpack what he means by spirituality as opposed to religious, because, I think I might agree with him there too.